All right, lads, welcome back to a regular episode of Who's Got the Ball. The last one, obviously, was our Premier League preview that we just did, came out on Wednesday. So if you haven't listened to that, give that one a listen if you want to get yourself ready for tonight's first game of the season. Shane here with me, obviously, Liverpool, first game of the season against Bournemouth. How are you feeling for that one?
So excited to have it back. It's felt like the summer has been one of the shortest. I don't know why. It just feels like it was only a couple of weeks ago it finished, but I'm just excited to get back in and let these 11 men decide my mood for a weekend, as everyone seems to say on Twitter, coming up to this time of the year now.
Yeah, yeah. I want to give one little note from the Premier League preview episode. Now that, you know, obviously transfer market is pretty reliable most of the time, but as you pointed out in the last episode, poor El Hadji Malik Diouf is actually like a left wing back and not a left winger, as they put it
Mm.
on transfer market. And then when I was watching highlights of him, I was like, yeah, like he puts in a good cross and stuff like that. But it's like the numbers aren't really there. But he's going to be playing probably left back for West Ham, maybe not even in a back five. So
Yeah.
and possibly if he does play back five like he did, looking more into it, like he did in for Slavia Prague, then he probably is going to be a pretty good player there. So apologies to him for slating his numbers, but yeah, let's see where he goes. And Transfermarkt needs to up their game there, and not be giving us false
Shocking,
information. But
isn't it?
yeah,
Shocking.
terrible, terrible.
Worse than me for misinformation.
Yeah, shocking, shocking. I'll just blame it all on transfer market and not my due diligence. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's preview what we're going to talk about this week. We're back with the NBA and we're previewing three teams a week. And this week we're starting with the Celtics, Raptors, and Knicks. So three kind of teams of different levels there from the East. Um, you can hear us back in your ears talking about NBA if you missed that a lot. That's what we started off with. Then we moved on to a transfer roundup. We had a lot of done deals to get through from the last 2 weeks. So we went through those and gave our thoughts, and probably a lot more next week again. NFL, two more teams. I think we've only got four left after this. It was
Yeah.
the Jags and the Colts we previewed this week. So we'll be previewing two more next week, and then it'll be right around the corner, just like the Premier League. It'll be coming back to you. And then last up, we had a draft. Best home jerseys in the Premier League. We went back and forth. You won't be surprised to who we both picked first overall, but give that a listen at the end for a bit of fun as usual. But hope you enjoy the episode and get right into it. All right, so we finally got the NBA topics back. We're going to be covering three teams a week from here on out until the season starts. Obviously, we're going to do a full season preview like we just did for the Premier League and like we will be doing soon for the NFL. A couple of special guests lined up for the NFL one, so keep an eye out on that. But let's start with our first team in the NBA. We'll start with the Boston Celtics. We've got four questions for each, slightly different than the ones we used in the other sports, but we'll start with them. I'll throw the first question to you, Shane. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
Despite their strong starting lineup, I think they need to improve their bench depth. And especially now, if they are going to be without Jason Tatum for as long as it looks they are going to be, they're going to need more players to step up. They always kind of, not always, they often kind of struggle to maintain offense in late in games, and that's because their bench just hasn't been deep enough. So they could just bring in players to kind of just bulk up the squad a bit, especially if they're, as I said, going to be without Tatum. They are going to need more scoring options really, because they can't just rely on one person coming into this season.
Yeah, I think in terms of their like starting lineup, they have some guys still there like Brown and they've still got Derek White, but like it's kind of rejigged. It's hard to know if Pritchard will start, and it's been a big drop off. I think with Holiday leaving and Kristaps leaving as well. I think it's massively different, and yeah, they could probably do adding some more players, but I don't know if they would even bother doing that unless they like start the season off well and then they look maybe to trade something in or what they'll look to do because in their eyes they probably don't know how this season is going to go.
Yeah,
I just thought that they might want to do something different this year. I know what they do mostly is shoot threes. That's their biggest thing. 48.2 per game last season. But with Tatum down, Holiday gone, and not really any stretch big there with Kristaps gone because you kind of need him to incorporate this. Maybe try and find other ways to play for Tatum's return. Look away from the threes a bit and experiment with other things as the season goes by. But
yeah,
I don't think that's going to be something they will do. It's not their philosophy, and getting in Simons and Niang. it's just more 3 point shooters. But I would really like that to see them do that and utilize this time without Tatum as a kind of experimentation period.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I was going to say that as well, that before you said it, that they need to use this time to experiment a bit because when he does come back, it's going to go back to just plug and play again the way it was before he went down. So, but if they went this season where, okay, we don't have him, let's try and get to the paint more, try and get to the line, and just see if that helps us more than shooting 100 trees per game and hoping that 30 of them drop and it gives us 90 points. So, yeah, I think that's a great point from you there.
Yeah. So looking at this time, we've gone at something a little different. Obviously, NBA squad is a bit smaller, so we're looking at one under the radar player you like for the team. Who have you got for this?
So, in kind of relation to my first one, I've gone with Jordan Walsh, who I think is going to make a bit of a step up in the season coming. He has no choice really; he has to kind of step up. So, last year he only started one game but made 52 appearances, averaged only just under 8 minutes a game, and only scored 1.6 points on average. But if he doubles that time in the court, if he gets 16 to 20 minutes, he could very easily push that up to 8 or 10 points a game, and it would help him. He's young still. He's very athletic. Loves a bit of a hustle. Just loves kind of drawing fouls. He doesn't really draw headlines, but if he gets more minutes, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, that's a very under the radar one there. I wasn't expecting that, but I guess they're going to have to go to the depths here to pull something out this season with some of the guys they've let go. I went with someone I mentioned at the start in George Niang. They just added him to the squad. If they do insist on shooting threes, he's your man for that. He's a really good spot up shooter and he plays pretty hard. He has a good bit of fight in him. I saw that when he played for the Sixers for a year. He did well for us and bailed us out a couple of times when we needed a few threes, especially that time in the play-in. So I think somebody, if you need a little bit of a late game boost, he's one there that might give it to you. So then looking at their over under wins with the bookies, we've got 42 and a half here. What do you think?
They're going over. I don't see a word where they don't go under. Oh, sorry, they don't go over. Even without Jason Tatum, I think they will just have enough. They'll surely get to 50 wins again, if not 55. So I went, you've definitely gone under with the faces you're pulling there. I think they're going over.
Yeah, I've gone for under. I don't see them definitely not getting to 55. Probably not 50. I just don't see it. Like Jalen Brown can only dribble with one hand. Teams are going to be pretty handily guarding him. Peyton Pritchard might end up being their one of their main threats this season, and they've lost just so much. I think they've thrown this season in the bin. I know Missoula's a bit mad, and he won't throw anything away, but like I just see them similar to the Magic last year, where the Magic had a lot of injuries that set them back. I know the Celtics have one injury, but they've basically thrown everything else away to save and against the salary cap. So and they had I think 40 last year, the Magic, or 41 wins. So I just see the Celtics around that mark. I think it could be 40 to 42. What has you so high on them?
I don't know. I just think they're still the Celtics. They're still solid. I know they've gotten rid of Porzingis. They've no like Tatum isn't there, but I just think they're still magic. They are. They're not the magic. They're still magic themselves, and I just think they have enough to just keep plodding away. I don't think there's too many teams that are way better than them, even without Tatum. We'll just have
Yeah.
to wait and see. I really think they're going over
Yeah, fair enough. Then we've got the ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead. What did you have?
Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
It's their ceiling. It's a ceiling. So
How
they're
are
not
they
winning
gonna
it.
get
Like,
there? How are they gonna get there? They have
well, if
literally don't even have Sam Hauser anymore, let alone half the rest of the roster. Like,
Well, if they can just get their defense proper, defense, I don't know how to say it when we're talking about American sports. I say it differently, we're talking about the Premier League. But if they get their defending sorted, they can use their depth, add more depth, then why not? Why not have a look at getting to.
yeah,
If we always say it's a ceiling, like, will do I think they'll get there? Probably not. But that is, they are an outside shout to get to an Eastern Conference Finals. So why not?
okay. I mixed up their two white shooting bigs. They actually still had Sam Hauser. It's Luke Cornett that's gone. Forgive me on
Oh,
that,
see,
but
there you go. Then they're definitely getting there.
oh, they're flying it. Yeah, yeah, flying it. I'd assume like trade rumors of Hauser at the moment as well. So you never know. I went with fourth seed. if the rest of the conference like stinks it up around the middle of the East, like I think there's a few teams who will pull away at the top, like the Knicks and the Cavs, and I think the Pistons are going to be pretty solid, and the Magic will be good as well. But I think if the other teams around the middle are really bad, or like aren't that strong, I think they could grab that fourth seed. But I just can't see them winning the playoff series unless Tatum somehow makes a miraculous recovery and he gets back in time for the playoffs. I just see them bowing out in the first round of the playoffs with this roster. I just don't think they have enough, to be honest. It's just so much to lose in one go. But we differ highly there, so that'll be one to keep an eye out on the season.
Yeah,
Not like our Premier
it's
League
about time.
predictions.
Yeah, it's about time we differed on something after how ridiculously close our Premier League tables were. Which, if
Yeah,
you haven't watched this, go and watch that one
yeah,
before you finish this video because it's a belter as well. But yeah, I'm still a big fan of them. Obviously, I don't want them to win it because there's only one team I want to win it, and I can't wait till we talk about them in a couple of episodes' time. But
yeah.
yeah, I just don't see why they would fall off as far as you seem to think they're going to fall off.
Yeah, yeah, no, fair enough. We'll keep an eye on that one. The Raptors up next, so I'll go first with this where they need to improve most from last season. I just went with the opposite to the Celtics. They need to spread the court more, get more space by
Mm.
shooting threes. Like they don't shoot enough threes at all. 34 per game last year, the third lowest. It's going to be hard to do that again with Brandon Ingram as your main guy that you just brought in. Like he doesn't really shoot many threes. RJ Barrett's a bit reluctant. Emmanuel quickly is a bit reluctant. I really don't know how they will do this. Now you don't need to do it to be successful. Like some teams are successful without doing it, like the Nuggets, as much as other teams. But I just think that it's something they could at least try because it just seems like not a lot is working for them the way they're playing now. And feel like they're a team full of individuals, and unless they start connecting
Mm.
the ball and spreading the court, that they'll continue to be that way.
Yeah, I had the same thing as you. Their spacing and their 3-point shooting was a big issue from last season.
Yeah. So one player under the radar that you like for the team?
Emmanuel, quickly, you just mentioned him there. 33 games, 33 starts last year. He did average 17 points. I think he's a really, really good player. Maybe he's not as under the radar as my first pick, but I don't think he's talked about enough for what he does for this Raptors team
Yeah, he got a
when he's
decent.
fit.
Yeah, he got a decent payday from the Knicks. From when he left the Knicks, and I think obviously disappointed with his injuries. But yeah, I
Mm.
always liked him when he was with the Knicks, and I thought that he could be a starting point guard. But obviously, like you said, he needs to stay fit. But again, I think he's someone that can connect a team with his passing. So I think, yeah, that's a good shout. I've gone with Grady Dick, not just because I wanted to say the name and it's funny, but also
Yeah,
because he's someone who isn't afraid to shoot threes. Six per game last year in his second season. So he jumped up to 15 points per game last season. 54 starts now. He didn't start every game. Obviously, he had injury issues himself. But he does offer the team something different. He has confidence, and he has exactly what I kind of suggested they need to do in more 3-point shooting volume, and he's not afraid to do so. So I think might he might be somebody there that himself and quickly together might actually be a nice duo if they link up throughout the season. Hopefully they can both stay on the court.
yeah, it would be
So,
ideal if you keep the two of them on the court, wouldn't it?
yeah, it's all injuries with a lot of teams, but especially recently in the NBA, it's pity how many injuries have happened. But looking at the over under with the bookies, they're 37.5. So last year they had 30. I think they can get a little bit better just even with individual talent, if they're not like a better team, I think they have better talent. And if that talent stays healthy, we haven't even seen Brandon Ingram what he looks like there.
Mm.
We haven't even mentioned Scotty Barnes at all. So I think marginally they can be better, and I think that will help them get to this mark. So I think yeah, 38 is pretty low, and that doesn't even mean they'd get to the playoffs or the play-in if they got that. So I think I think they can.
Yeah, I think they'll go over as well, just about. I kind of had them maxed out at maybe 40 to 45 wins, which will put them over. So yeah, we're aligned on that.
So what is your ceiling for them then around that 40 to 45 point?
I think they can get to the 7 or 8 seed and get themselves a play in, but I don't think they'll be going too much further than that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I said they could get to the play-in with 40 wins or so, and then I think they probably lose in the play, and I don't see them actually getting into the playoffs unless they make a drastic change. But yeah, I think we're fairly aligned on them. But a lot to be desired with them. I think they're yeah, it's hard to know what to make of them, and need to definitely see more because it's confusing some of the contracts they've given to guys who are probably second or third options on other teams, and they see them as the main person in a certain position. So they're one that's could go pretty badly, but we'll keep an eye. Last up, then, of the teams we're doing today is the New York Knicks. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
A bit like the Raptors themselves, they need to improve their offensive ball movement. They just stagnate and end up relying on the likes of Jalen Brunson a bit too much for me. I know he's absolutely class and he does it, but they need more of the likes of Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart. They just need to kind of just be faster.
Yeah, yeah. I think last year Cat had a really good season in my opinion, but then defensively he wasn't that good. Josh Hart just can't shoot unless he's playing the Sixers for some reason, which is always annoying. But I think now this year they've done that kind of like they've added some more depth, which will allow those guys maybe to put more into it when they're on the court. But they do need to connect more, and I think you're right. But I think that'll come with time because a lot of these guys only just started playing together. I've gone with the defensive side of the ball. Everybody saw their defense is really weak. I think that when Cat and Mikhail Bridges tried, they were really good on defense, and it was just not often enough that they tried. There was a lot of games that they were just like, nah, it's all right. I can't even be that bothered. Maybe that's because they're playing like so many minutes and there wasn't much switching there with Tibbs. But I just think that if they actually made an effort, they would give up far less easy shots. That was their main issue, just giving up easy shots. They allowed 47.4% field goal percentage to opponents. That was the sixth worst in the league. Like if you look at the Celtics and Thunder, they were I think the best two, and the Cavs are down there as well as one of the best. Um, to be the best, you have to have good defense, and you can't just be half arsing it. So I think that's most important. Just to not give up as easy shots and just try harder, really, more than anything. So,
Yeah, that's very fair.
what about under the radar player? Who do you have?
So I went with Josh Hart on this one. He's heading into his third full season. Obviously, he was traded from Portland kind of mid-season in 22-23. Last year, he played 77, started all 77 games, had his most minutes at 37.6 and scored 13.6 points per game, which was pretty decent. But if they're going to be pushing to what they want to be pushing, he needs to up his numbers. He needs to as you said, he only scores against the Sixers. He needs to be able to score against either the other team as well, and then he'll be a proper kind of a two-man then to Jalen Brunson and makes him an awful lot better.
Yeah, well, I would argue that they don't need him to do that because he's defensively talented and he hustles hard on the boards. Obviously, in an ideal world, he would score more, and you might see him do that if he settles into the system. But I think if the Knicks literally just rely more, I know you said you don't want to rely on one person, but if they relied on three people, if they went Bridges, Cat, and
Brunson.
Brunson, and Bridges actually contributed consistently,
Mm.
then Hart might be okay doing what he's doing. If he like he's the ticking heart of not to make a pun there, but he is the beating
Yeah,
heart of this team because of how hard he works on the boards. So I don't think points are his issue, but I do think under the radar people forget how hard he works, and I think that offers so much morale wise to the team. I think if everyone else could follow his suit, they'd be flying it like with the effort levels. I
pressure
went
from you as
I
well.
went with Yabusele. Just saw him with the Sixers. Pity we couldn't keep him, but obviously they want to keep Quentin Grimes and they couldn't afford to do both because the Sixers are cheap and they won't go near the first or second apron, which is obviously very annoying. But
Mm.
last year he wasn't afraid to get stuck in. I think he's about 6'8", which is undersized for a center, but he can play backup center. I don't think the Knicks can rely on Mitchell Robinson consistently with his injury issues, so they could play him in, like as a replacement to Cat if they want to get just like a rotation going, or they could play him next to him at the four because he's he's smaller than him, but he's more physical and he's stronger. So if they need more rebounds, he can offer that. Like last year, 5.6 boards a game, 11 points, and that was in 43 starts. So wasn't playing an overwhelming amount of minutes, but when he was on the court, he fought so hard. So I really like that pickup, and I think he'll contribute in a big way for them. Looking at their over under wins, then it's pretty high, 53.5. They had 51 last year. Looking at their depth last year, that was where the biggest issue was. They had no depth whatsoever. And Tibbs is probably sitting there thinking, like, if you just gave me some more depth, I'd be able to take this team further. And now they have it. So I think they can get three more wins is definitely doable with having basically a deeper team and a team that you can actually rest your stars when they don't need to be on the court when they're 20 points up against the Hornets with 2 minutes left. So yeah, I can see them doing this.
I've gone under, but not in a bad way. I just think the line is really, really high. I think they'll come in around again what he did last season between like 51 to 53. It will
Yeah,
still be obviously be enough to get him a good high seed. And I do think highly of him, but I don't see him getting 55 wins or more. I think it's mad.
yeah. I think it is a high line. I just like that setup there, but it's questionable what Mike Brown might do there. So yeah, it's hard to argue with hedging and going under here, like in playing the safe one because I think it is a lot of wins. So
Mm.
this one could teeter. It's a good line actually, 53.5. But what's the ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead?
So, unlike the Celtics, who I said they can get to an Eastern Conference Finals, I am convinced that this team will get to an Eastern Conference Finals. I do think they're brilliant. I know I just said they're going to go under their wins, but that will still get them maybe a top three seed potentially, and then I think they have a great chance then again to the conference finals and maybe going to an NBA Finals. But we'll see.
Yeah, we're pretty aligned. I said they can win the East. I think they can get to the East finals and win it. I don't see them being strong enough to take down one of the juggernauts in the West,
Mm.
but I think they could come out of the East. I think if they use their depth, as I've already mentioned, but it's so important now that they have that. And to add on top of that, I think they could quite easily, not easily, but I think I would easier see them beating like a Cavs or a Bucks than I would a Pistons or a Magic. They need to toughen up, and if they can't go into a series with the Magic or the Pistons in the playoffs next year and just be soft and let them be pushed around like they almost were by the Pistons in the first round this year. So I think that would be the biggest challenge for them. But yeah, I'm aligned with you. I think they can get to the conference finals and probably win it as an absolute push. Now, whether they will do that or not, we'll discuss later. But that's kind of a ceiling. We're fairly aligned there. So first NBA coverage back after a long time. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week we may have somebody on to cover a couple of teams with us, but we'll see how that shakes out. We'll move on then to our transfer roundup now. We didn't do this last week because we did a little shorter episode, so we've got a lot of done deals to get through. So I'm gonna go from the ones that were done the longest ago. I'm gonna rattle off like five at a time, and you just give me your thoughts out of if you don't want to touch on
Perfect.
some, don't. If you do, do. Start with Joe Palhinha, went from Bayern Munich to Spurs, €5 million loan fee. Then Aaron Ramsdale went from Southampton to Newcastle. I think we've talked about him a lot already. So,
Yeah, we have somehow.
€4.6 million loan fee. Callum Wilson on a free transfer to West Ham, even though you said he re-signed with Newcastle anyway. That's in the past. Tyler Morton, Liverpool moved to Leon. You probably want to chat about that. That was €10 million. And then the last of the five that happened furthest from now was Chelsea sold Kieran Dewsbury Hall to Everton for €28.65 million.
I'm going to start with Dewsbury Hawks. I'm just seeing an Irish flag here beside his name on
I know.
Transfermarkt that I didn't realize that he had. So I
They
think,
have it next to Grealish as well. Like so.
oh, okay. Well, I think Heimer might need to get in the home phone to Dewsbury Hawks. I don't think he has an English cap yet.
No, I don't think so.
And see if we can get him in. I think that's a great bit of business for Everton. I think Everton have been doing some good deals over the last week or so. We'll talk about another in a couple of minutes. I just think they had no choice, obviously, to go. They had to go heavy in the market because they only had like 14 senior players when
Yeah,
the season finished. But I think that's a really, really smart bit of business. Didn't work from a Chelsea. It was never going to work from a Chelsea. I think it probably was a good move, even in hindsight, because how bad Leicester were, and now he's ended up at Everton, which is a good, solid club. I think it's a great bit of business.
yeah.
Carla Morton, I really wanted him to make it. Like really, really wanted him to make it. I think he's really, really classy on the ball. He's going to absolutely rip up League On. A bit of a sore pace in the Premier League. I think he's class. He just sit him in midfield, he'll spray balls all around. He doesn't lose it. He's brilliant. Callum Wilson staying at Newcastle. We spoke about it a couple of weeks back. I think it's a great move from Newcastle to keep their backup striker there. And no, yeah. I think the move to West Ham will suit him. He is on pay to play, which is very smart from West Ham as well,
Yeah,
unless I've gotten that wrong as well. So
with his injury
free
history.
transfer, it's very, very, very low risk. If he doesn't play, they don't have to pay him. So if he does play, he can score goals. Ramsdale, we won't talk about, and Polinia is a great bit of business for Spurs.
Yeah, and the Morton one I just wanted to say about how Jake O'Brien kind of strived there with Leon, so we might see something
Mm,
similar. So yeah, I do think he's a solid player, and we may see him back again. The Premier League is only 22. And then
yeah, I think we will.
the one that stood out to me was the João Paulinho one. I think this is a cracking move from Spurs to get him
Yeah.
in. He wanted that move to Bayern, but I always thought that he would be better off staying in the Premier League. His game just suited it so much. Is just He's just a hard player to play against, and he doesn't mind getting stuck in. So that was nice by Spurs. He's a proper Thomas Frank player. Um, Moving on to the next five, then Mark Yu has gone from Chelsea to Sunderland on loan. We've got Heung-min Son gone from Spurs to LAFC, going out after winning a trophy. So fair play to him. That was 22 million euro. Leslie Ogachukwu, 28.7 million euro, gone from Chelsea to Burnley. Martin Dubravka gone from Newcastle to Burnley, kind of as a backup, maybe a starting keeper. There's no price on transfer market, I believe it was around 2 million. And then the last one was Evan Gason from Nice to Aston Villa for 30 million euro. So what sticks out there?
Evan Gousson, I'm really excited to see who he does at Aston Villa. I think they might have brought him in the kind of just in case Ollie Watkins moves on.
Yeah,
Even if he's a backup, he's a brilliant backup to have at 24 years old. Really solid for Nice last season, strong, athletic, good, really, really good striker. The other one that sticks out to me is the fact that Burnley have paid the Bones at 30 million euro for a midfielder that Chelsea didn't want, and 23 million euro for a striker that Chelsea didn't want, who we'll talk about in a couple of seconds. Just utter madness. Neither of them have ever shown they're good enough to do it in the Premier League. And if you want to stay up, why are you signing players that haven't done it? Ugachukwu was part of that Southampton team last year who were just horrific from start to finish. He was in that midfield and he did absolutely nothing.
I thought he
I
showed a
feel for
little bit of
Son.
athleticism. Like that's pretty much all they're banking on. I think.
Yeah, it's all they can bank on. Dubravka has a good signing for him. If he does become their starting keeper, I think he's a really, really solid goalkeeper. Newcastle need to get rid of one of their five first team goalkeepers, so it's good to get one of them out the door at least.
Yeah,
And then there's big, big, big expectations on Mark Yu here to go to Sunderland and get them 5 to 10 goals if he can. And I just don't see how it
can't see it.
happens.
I just can't see the service on
No, me
dealing
either.
with the wedge. It's pretty tough. Um, yeah, I think the one with Son anyway is it's nice for him to reunite with Lloris, and I think he went out on a high, so that's nothing bad to say about him there. He was a great
No.
player, played for Spurs for a long time. But yeah, I think Ogachukwu, they're betting on talent and youth and athleticism, and I think slotting that in next to Josh Cullen might actually work nicely. But again, he may not light the world on fire either. So yeah,
Mm,
it's hard to know for sure. But with Gason, I think it's good also that he played in the Europa League last year, so that's going to help because he has experience at that level. He didn't light the world on fire, only getting the one goal, but he can play in multiple positions. He played up front a good bit, but he also played kind of to the right behind the striker. So now it looks like Jacob Ramsey is probably one we'll talk about next week because it's not fully locked in and it's not on our done deals here, but it looks like he's going to go to Newcastle, so they may need to fill in that behind the striker kind of a role. So I like that too. Next five, one you already touched on a second ago was Armando Broja or Broja, going from Chelsea to Burnley for 23 million euro. Benjamin Sesko gone from Leipzig to Man United, 76.5 million euro up front. We talked about that a lot in the Premier League preview episode. So if you want
yeah.
to hear our thoughts on that, give that one a listen. But we'll keep going. Mads Hermansen, Leicester to West Ham, 20.8 million euro, and to be their goalkeeper. Then Liverpool sold Darwin Nunes to Al Hilal for 53 million euro. And the next of the five is Ilya Zabarny, gone from Bournemouth to PSG, €63 million. What a cracking deal.
Yeah. Poor Bournemouth.
Yeah,
They've
that's all I
lost
can say.
four of their back five from last season. They have started to replace them now. Finally, they've got in their new left back, and Trevor does look a good
Yeah,
prospect from the clips I've seen on Twitter of his preseason. I'm obviously not sitting down watching too many Bournemouth preseason games. I was on a bit of a football ban over the summer, trying to give myself a break, so I haven't watched much. Getting €53 million for Darwin, I think, is a good deal, considering he really didn't light the world on fire for 3 years. So it is disappointing he has ended up in the Saudi League. I really thought he'd get a move to Serie A or somewhere where he could try and show he can still do it in Europe. But it's only a 3 year deal. He can come back at 29 and go to Serie A then when Lukaku is retired and has stopped being a nuisance. He can be the nuisance for Napoli up front then. I think Hermansen's a great goalkeeper and it's a good
yeah,
deal for West Ham
yeah.
because Areola hasn't been doing anything to say that he deserves to be a Premier League number one anymore.
He's
And
not
then
good enough.
Broya, another one, doesn't score goals. You like it. Again, we talked about it in the transfer, the Premier League one yesterday, so you can listen back there if you want to hear me and James have a differing of opinion. Other
Yeah.
than that, yeah,
Well, on Broya, I don't think he's like unbelievably good or anything like that. Like, I just think he hasn't got like a solid chance where he started a lot of games for a team he's gone to. And I just want to see him one more time. And I think Burnley actually buying him and not just taking him on loan, they're betting on him here. So
yeah,
I'd like to see it work out. And I think he has the potential. But again, yeah, there's nothing solid. Hermansen, great keeper. Um, Danish keeper from Leicester, can't go wrong there.
yeah.
And then Darwin, I actually would have liked to see him in the Serie A. I think, as you mentioned, I think it would have suited him very, very well. So it's a pity, but obviously payday is paramount for some of these players.
Payday.
And then
Mm.
Zabarny, cracking player, cracking centre back. Like you said, poor Bournemouth. Not much else you can say because they've lost their whole pretty much starting back line apart from Adam Smith. So let's see where he goes next. Maybe Real Madrid will
Yeah.
come looking for him. But yeah, €63 million is going to be unreal for PSG, and it's a lot of money for Bournemouth. So they're already reinvesting, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so. Next up, then, final three done deals is Jack Grealish gone from Man City to Everton on a loan transfer. I think it's like a £50 million buy option at the end
Option.
of the
Yeah.
season. Malik Thaw, German national from AC Milan, gone to Newcastle. We touched on him in the preview episode. I really like that move, €35 million. And then some of Bournemouth's reinvestment. They've got Bafode Diakite from Lille, centre back, €35 million as a start to kind of replace some of their defence. So anything stand out there with those three?
Newcastle spending money they don't have. I wonder where they're going to get the funds to leverage against this. But we won't talk about
That's
that this
crazy.
week. I think Jack Grealish is a great bit of business for Everton. There's no way they're paying £50 million from next summer though. Even if he scores 30 goals and breaks all kinds of records, there's no way you're paying £50 million for a 30-year-old next summer. They'll negotiate a deal that's lower if they want to keep him there, but it's a great bit of business. He'll just slot in nicely. If they let him do what he was doing for Aston Villa, then I just don't see how it can go wrong for him, really. And then Diakite is a good bit of business as well. Lille, another team we seem to be getting a kind of small bit torn apart this summer. Oh no, it's Nice. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, but Lille often
Yeah,
do. Like Yaro just came from there last year to United.
yeah.
They often have good defenders. So yeah, I think it's good to bet on that. I don't know a lot about him, but €35 million. I think they obviously think highly of him, so let's see. But I do like that draw deal for Newcastle. Again, I think with PSR now Newcastle are in the Champions League and the rolling 3 year thing, they've been in it twice in the last 3 years. So I don't think they have issues with money, but I think they're still going to sell Isaac anyway. But I don't know where it'll be. It's just like the way he's carried on is really, really
You
bad.
can't keep him. No,
No,
I
you
100%
cannot.
agree with you there. And
You can't. And
I was
it's
talking to him.
like I've seen a couple of guys on Twitter like say, oh, whatever about the way he's carried on. But I did see one kind of Liverpool guy, and I don't know who it was. I can't remember, but props to him because he said like that we gave it to Trent the way he acted, and he said the way that Isak has acted is even worse, and that it's not something you really want in the club. Now, obviously, the talent level is there, but that kind of behavior is ridiculous, and his agent, I think, is not exactly the best to deal with. I've
No,
seen a lot of clubs
100%.
have kind of not wanted to deal with him throughout the years. So, yeah, a
Yeah,
pity
so
for
that is,
Newcastle.
yeah. that is the thing for me as well that doesn't it does kind of gall me a little bit that it's like what's to stop him in 3 years' time turning around and he's 28 and will say, "Oh, Madrid want me. I'm going to down tools now, and you can sell me
Exactly.
for less than you paid for me there." So that is something I don't like. I don't like it in football in general. I don't like the whistles doing it as well. It's
Mhm.
trying to hold the club over a barrel.
Yeah.
I do think they will end up having to sell him. It will probably be to Liverpool,
Yeah.
but it would worry me a bit the way
Much
he's
so.
acting now. But if he goes and bangs 30 Premier League goals, I won't be complaining too much. And then we'll
Yeah.
come if it comes to it where he's trying to go to Madrid, then that's where the problem will be. I don't think he'll be signing any 6 year contracts anymore anyway. I think he's learned his lesson from the first
Yeah.
time he's done that. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. It's just yeah, it's not a great one. I think the best way to do things is where the player, like the club, know that the valuation is going to be met by somebody, and then there's like two or three bids, and the player says, "No, there's a specific team I want." Like has done with Mbumo and Sesko in this window, and they've gone, all right, okay, we'll work with that team so to figure out a structure, and sort out the fee. That's fine, I think, but because you already know your valuation is being met, you're already going to sell the player. But yeah, in
Yeah,
this case, I just don't think it's right. And Wissa is the same. Both of them have kind of been ostracized from the team and told to train away, which I think is a good move by the club, and that's what should
there
be
was
done.
a video yesterday on Sky Sports News of Tony Bloom talking about the Moises Caicedo transfer to Chelsea and how he dealt with the Liverpool side of things when Caicedo said he didn't want to go there. It's a really good watch. We might share it on the socials after if I remember.
Oh yeah.
It's just a really insightful into how you deal with bids from two teams and the player specifically when he wants to go to one. Um, I think we could be talking about a lot about Liverpool in the transfer roundup next week if the Fabrizio Romano rumours are to be believed.
Mm.
So we'll come back to them.
Yeah, there's a lot in the works there, and hopefully another defensive midfielder from Brighton will be on the move too.
Mm.
Similar to Caicedo, let's see.
Similar money as well, by all accounts.
Oh, yeah, seems like that. But we'll touch on that because I think that's interesting as well. Some of the deals that United have sponsorship that may be coming unveiled soon and a credit facility that they've been working on. So I think it's kind of freeing up things to go all in possibly, but that's one to we'll keep an eye on and see what happens because I think it's interesting to look at that side of business as well and how the kind of structure of deals comes about because of money being freed up in other ways. But one last thing on Grealish, I was just thinking about how we said that they had basically no players there, Everton, and now look at this. I think this starting kind of front four almost of Dewsbury Hall if he plays on the wing or behind the striker, and then you've also got
Behind the striker.
yeah, Njai or Grealish. That's the only thing. Njai likes to play behind the striker, so it's whether those two rotate or what way it'll work. But Grealish then on the wing and then Barry up front. It's a big challenge with three nice signings. So yeah, Everton are definitely on the right track. But a lot of transfers covered there for you. We'll probably have a lot the way the window is going again next week, but that's 2 weeks worth of done deals. So
Yeah.
let's move on to two more NFL teams. So we've got a continuation of the AFC South. Do you want to throw me the questions first?
Yeah, so we'll start with the Colts here because they're on my screen already. So where do they need to improve most from last season?
I just said that quarterback play just really bad. Anthony Richardson's accuracy is woeful. 47.7%. It's just so bad. I think it was like the record worst ever been recorded in a season. Um, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions last season, and then in the long run, Daniel Jones is even worse than that. So, like, he's not somebody who even has the potential. Whereas at least Richardson has physical traits and running ability. But I think Riley Leonard, he didn't look great in their preseason game, but Notre Dame quarterback that they took a chance on he does throw interceptions, but he can be accurate enough. He showed it at Notre Dame last year. I think he had like 66% accuracy and he threw for close to 3,000 yards, I think. And then he can run the ball with absolutely no issue. 906 yards on the ground and 17 touchdowns last year. And brought
Wow.
Notre Dame to the Natty Championship. Unfortunately, they lost to Ohio State, but I think he's one that might go under the radar. He doesn't have maybe the NFL skills, but I think Shane Steichen may turn to him if if things go sour with Richardson and Daniel Jones, they may have no other option. So kind of I like him sitting there, but it's still very, very poor quarterback play, and that's where they need to improve. And I really can't see it happening.
Yeah, I actually meant to say to you at the start that I think we'll have the same thing here, and we did because I also had the 47.7% completion rate in bold writing on my screen here.
Right, so
That's
bad.
horrific. Horrific. And then bringing in Daniel Jones as your knight in shining armor as a backup is outrageous as well. So I think they'll struggle at quarterback again this year, which leads on to the three players you think will make the biggest impact.
So I've gone with a mixture of offense and defense, mostly defense, but I went with Tyler Warren first. Huge pickup out of Penn State. 14th pick. I think they did well to get him there for him to slip down to them. I think they might have possibly even traded up if they thought that somebody else was going to take him. But Colson Loveland obviously went first as a tight end, but he can do it all for a team that needs pretty much everything. They need somebody who can guarantee some first downs, and they need somebody who can make big plays. And he's physical, he's strong, and he can do pretty much everything that a wide receiver can. But he can also block, and I think he could do something similar to what Brock Bowers did last year with bad QB play, still have a big season. Second, I went with Cam Bynum. I think he's a big pickup in free agency. They paid him 60 million over 4 years. I think they'll be banking that he'll be better than he was with Minnesota. He had a career high 3 interceptions last year from safety, part of a good defense. So I think I'll be hoping he can bring over some of that defensive juice that they had in Minnesota, and that he can continue on a good trajectory after 4 years over there. And then another one to add to the DB room, as well as Cam Bynum as cornerback, Charvarius Ward. Um, they did really good to pick him up. Former Super Bowl winner with the Chiefs and a Pro Bowler with the 49ers in 2023. 5 interceptions that year. Obviously, tragically lost his 1 year old daughter at the start of last season. So that season was kind of very up and down. And I
Mm.
think he said he didn't really want to live in the area where his daughter had passed away. So he made the move, and the Colts have got a real star on their hands there. So I hope they look after him because he's had a really, really tough year, and he's a star player. Did you have anybody different?
I had Tyler Warren as well, then I had two different ones for you. So I put in Jonathan Taylor because I just think the man is a machine. 1 4 3 1 rushing yards last year, 11 touchdowns. It's not his biggest year, but when you look at how, as you said, right, the Colts were just a bit of a mess all of last season. So for him to still put up those numbers with what he was dealing with is really quite impressive. I just think he's brilliant. I think he'll have another big year this year. And I had Latu as well, the defensive end. I'm not going to try and say his first name. First round pick in 2024. Good year last year. I think he's only going to go from strength to strength this year.
Yeah, I think they'll be banking on him improving. They'll definitely be hoping on it because, yeah, he was good, and I think they'll be hoping for more. Obviously,
Mm.
second year as a defensive player is usually where you kick on again. So nice show.
Yeah, and finally, what is the ceiling with the current Ross? No, sorry. Do you think they'll hit the over under with the bookies, which is 7.5?
Yeah, so 7.5. I think they got it last year. I think the division is pretty bad.
Mm.
I think it's going to be really tough, but I think they'll scrape it. They had bad QB play last year. Joe Flacco was really, really bad. Anthony Richardson was awful, but yet they still got the 8 wins, and I think they'll just grab it again. And just because the division isn't great, and some of the other teams I don't think very highly of, so I'm going with just about over. What have you got?
Yeah, I have over as well. I think they might get to 9 wins if they're lucky. So yeah, I hit the over as well. I just think 7.5. I don't think they're going to drop. Especially as you said, the division is horrific as well, so they should be okay.
Yeah. And
And
then the
finally, what's
ceiling.
their ceiling?
Um, I said the same as last year. I think they'll win 8, maybe 9, and they'll miss out on the playoffs. I think they have a strong enough defense. They've added some pieces, like we mentioned, and yeah, I just think the offense isn't good enough really to get any more than getting 8 or 9 wins and just missing out on that playoff spot like last year.
Yeah, same as you. 9 wins, as I said just a second ago. I nearly said that 9 wins is their ceiling before. I nearly spoiled the season finale by answering the fourth question before asking it. But yeah, we'll move on to the Jags.
Nice one. So Jags, first question: where do they need to improve most from last season?
And they need to sort out their pass defense massively. 4,375 passing yards allowed last year, which was the most in the division.
Mhm.
That needs to be their priority this offseason. just get that sorted because that's absolutely you're not going anywhere if you continue to do that.
Yeah, I think basically I wrote for this just C Colts because QB play. I'm sick of Trevor Lawrence. I know people absolutely love him and they think he's an amazing prospect, but I don't want to be harsh, but it's time. It's time now. He has Liam Cohen there. He has a lot of weapons. Like he's after they're after spending, moving up, giving up so much to get in Travis Hunter. So he has to be big on the offense. They've got Brian Thomas Jr., one of the best wide receivers in the league. They've
Yeah.
also got a pretty good running back room with Travis Etienne, and I think Bigsby is going to be good too. Like they don't need any more excuses for him. He's made some crazy mistakes. He's had some woeful games. Year five coming up, and he just had his lowest yards per game in a year with 204.5, and he was second to Anthony Richardson for completion percentage and how bad it was 60.6%. It's just really, really poor. And if he's not have a good season this year, I don't want to see any of these mad media talking heads that keep going on about how good he's going to be. Yes, he was good in college. He was good coming out of college, but he hasn't lived up to it since. And I think it's crazy to think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's not even top 15 for me, to be honest. So
Mm.
that really needs to step up. Then
Yeah.
maybe being a bit harsh
It
there.
goes to
What's your
show
opinion on?
it also goes to show just how bad Anthony Richardson was that the second lowest completion percentage is 60.6 and he was
Yeah,
47.7.
yeah,
But
no,
yeah, I just don't think Trevor Lawrence is special in any way, shape, or form. I think he's definitely a starting NFL quarterback, but not for a team that is ever going to push and come close to winning a Super Bowl.
yeah, no. I 100% agree, and I think this year he has everything he could need. So it's
Mm.
prove it time. But three players then on the team that'll make the biggest impact. Who did you have?
Yeah, so you mentioned two of mine in Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. I just think it's so hard to look past them. It's very rare you get someone like Travis Hunter who is elite at wide receiver and cornerback in college. So we'll see where they play him, if they play on both sides like he wants. I just think they have to be buzzing over this fella. Like you can't not be. And then Brian Thomas Jr., 1,281 yards last year in his rookie campaign. He's surely going to be the main man again this year. And
Definitely.
then finally, Brendan Strange is going to have Brenton Strange is going to have to step up with Evan Ingram gone. And I just think every team needs a tight end you can trust. He needs to be theirs.
Yeah, nice name as well. Strange. Let's see how that goes for him. But I've gone with two the same as you. The two we meant. I just heard your joke there. Oh Lord. Brian Thomas Jr. also unbelievable out of LSU. Set the rookie yardage record as you already mentioned last season. And then Travis Hunter. I think he'll impact the future of this franchise if he's managed correctly and things work out for him. But if things don't work out and they mess up this situation, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs because they've given up so much for him.
Mm.
So this is massive, and they need to manage this talent. And then third one I went to is Josh Hines Allen. He had a decent season last year with 8 sacks, but he needs to return closer to the year prior where he had 17 and a half. I'm pretty sure he had a Pro Bowl, his second one that year, and he needs to give that kind of production because they have some weapons, but he's their main guy, and I think he needs to prove it again. So all eyes will be on him for me. I really like him if he does perform. And then over under wins is actually the same as the Colts at 7.5. So what did you have for that?
I think they can go over, but they won't. So I've gone with the under. I think 6 to 7 wins is their kind of be on par for what they are really. Unless Lawrence and Hunter just come in and make the biggest impact of all time, they're not getting over 7.5 wins. They're not getting to eight.
Yeah, yeah, I think you put it perfectly there that they can, but they won't. Way too big a jump from 4 wins, despite everything that
Mm.
they have there now with a new coach and adding Hunter. I think they'll get around 7. I think that'll probably be it for them. I think a lot of people have them really high for some reason, and some of the data points I think point to that. But what you see on the field is what you get, and I think what you'll see is about 6 or 7 wins. So, looking at the last question, then, what their ceiling is for the current roster and coach. What do you have for the season ahead?
I think their ceiling will be just getting over that bookies line of 7.5 and getting to 8 or 9 wins. They're obviously not going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but if they can just do anything on offense that improves them, I think then that would be a really, really good place from the start, especially with Travis Hunter, as you just said. He can be the face of this franchise for years to come, or he could be out the door quicker than he came in. So just
Yeah,
have to try and keep him around, do something with him, and aim to get 8 or 9 wins and move from there.
yeah, I had the same. I said 9 wins and miss out on the playoffs by a game. I think shouts for them to win this division are ridiculous because
Courageous.
I think the Texans are miles better than them. I think the Texans are unbelievable and they'll be great this year. I really think they will. So yeah, I can't see that. So that's my ceiling for them, 9 wins. But that's all we've got on the NFL. We're gonna move on to our draft then for this week. This week we've got the best home jerseys in the English Premier League. So that's the draft we've gone with. Just trying to find who's going first. Obviously, as we said, we should be prepared, but of course, we weren't again.
I think it's you. Or no, I think it's me because you went first with the under 23 player, under 25 players, didn't you?
No, I think you went first because you picked Verts, didn't you?
Did I?
Yeah, you
Oh,
picked
yeah.
Verts first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Granted,
so
you first. So
we always just do that wrong every time, but anyway, bit of entertainment for you. I go first. I think it's going to be obvious. I'm going to pick Man United. Obviously, just the classic red. Most of the ones I pick, you'll find that I've gone with teams that are just like iconic, similar to when we went to the
mm,
NBA jerseys. That Man United red team that's won the most Premier League titles in its history. Of course, it's iconic with the Premier League, and I like the black accents that they've added in. I actually really like the away and third jerseys a lot this year, so I might be getting one of them instead. But I like the Snapdragon logo as well. It's kind of similar to the old Vodafone one, so
mm.
I've gone with United first.
Yeah, that's no surprise, really. If we were drafting all-round jerseys, like home, away, and thirds, then my top five could very easily be made up of just Liverpool and United with some of the jerseys they pulled
Yeah,
out.
really nice.
The Liverpool third kit, the blue one, is unreal. But I've
Adidas are
gone with the
flying it to
Liverpool
be
home kit
fair.
as my first pick. Sorry?
Adidas are flying it to be fair with the
Adidas are
jersey.
flying, yeah. Yeah, the Liverpool home jersey is absolutely unbelievable. I thought you might pick them out of spite, to be perfectly honest, but you haven't. You've gone with United, so I get my first two picks here. Liverpool first. I just think it's a beauty. It's a real statement of intent from Adidas to start like this as well. So we'll hopefully continue from there. And second, there was only one option for me. It's Mr. Marinakis' Nottingham Forest is in second for me. I think it's absolutely
Gorgeous.
unbelievable. I love the collar on it. I love the white down it. I just think it's a cracker of a jersey.
Yeah, you've actually taken my second and third. Liverpool, I had second, just that old throwback style that they have. I think it's really nice. And then third, I had Forest. I really like the writing on the sponsor. It's almost like that Coca-Cola style writing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's cracking. It's a really nice jersey. So yeah, nice picks there. My next two then are Newcastle. I really like the kind of blue just outside the black on the classic stripes. It's one of those classic jerseys. It's never going to change, but they've done it nicely with what they've added to it. And then I think the yellow sponsor on the sleeve really pops out as well. So that's my next pick. And then Adidas again for me. All my top five were Adidas, but Fulham, I think they've really nailed it. I really like the minimal kind of thing around the neck, and then the lines going down like the kind of similar to the Liverpool, the way the kind of tubes like small go down the body. Just that black and white classic kit. I think it's really really nice, and I think Adidas have just absolutely hit it out of the park. So that's my
Yeah,
next two.
Adidas have had a serious summer of jersey designs. Whoever has designed their jerseys deserves a pay rise. I don't know what he's getting paid, but it's not enough with the way they've gone around this summer.
Yeah.
Again, you've left me with my next two picks, which is great. This one actually only really came to prominence for me last weekend when I saw Palace play Liverpool. That
Oh
Palace
yeah.
home jersey was a beauty, an absolute beauty. Again, I love the way they've broken up the red and blue. I just think it's an absolute cracking jersey. I don't normally like betting sponsors, but that one seems to work on this Palace jersey, and can't remember who made it, but I think it's an absolute cracker. And then a bit of a rogue one, but I'm a big fan of Burnley's jersey this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think it's absolutely class. It's just really classy for a team that aren't going to be very classy on the pitch, I can't imagine. But I just think it's a really, really good jersey.
Yeah. I think that Burnley one is really nice, and it's one I had. Palace I didn't have. I'm not a massive fan of it, but yeah, I can see that kind of classic style as well. I just preferred some of the older ones they had. But yeah, not a bad shout with the Burnley. I like that. So I've got my last two picks. They're my actual next two after Fulham in my category. So I'm gonna take them. I've gone with two Nike jerseys now. Next is Brighton. I really like the jersey they have. I think they've just kind of stripped it back. It's just stripes, and then the tick is that kind of nice, the same one you see on like the mercurial boots, and it's kind of
Mm.
a different color, kind of sticks out. So I really like that. And then lastly, I've gone with Spurs. I think that's nice. It's just that kind of like Nike like training style gear. It might not, it's not the most amazing jersey, but I like it's just kind of plain classic. The logo right above the tick in the middle of the jersey, and it's not the same as some of the others we see. So I've gone with that over some of the others.
Yeah, the
What's
only
your
thing
last
that
one?
annoys me about that Spurs jersey is that the
Mm.
crest that's in the middle. If that
Yeah,
crest was up where it should be, then it would have been in my list already. Because I saw it last night for the first time during that PSG game, and I was like,
yeah,
wow, that's actually a cracker of a jersey. And now looking at my list, I'm kind of wishing that I had put it in higher, but I'm gonna put in Arsenal here in fifth. Again, it's a classic Arsenal jersey. Red, the color is nice. The sponsor just looks really good on it. I'm pretty sure it's Adidas again, so it's another one that Adidas have smashed out of the park. And as much as I dislike them as a football institution, I just think their jersey is very hard to beat.
yeah, and that's all ours wrapped up. But I just want to give a shout out before we go through what we picked again. I like the Villa one, but if they didn't, I don't really like the Betano thing that's on the front of it. That sponsor now, obviously, that can make or break a jersey, to be honest. And I think what Adidas have done with that one is nice, but sponsor's just not nice. So
Mm.
that kind of pushed it down for me. But my five are Man United, Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton, and Spurs.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out there to the Wolves jersey, which is really nice. It's a really tough color to work with, but they
Yeah,
actually have done a really good job on it this summer. My five are Liverpool, Forest, Palace, Burnley, and Arsenal. I needed a big one after the cut of the one I drew the last day, so I think I might have won this one.
oh, we'll leave that up to the people who'll have to put a poll out. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of nice jerseys this year. So good good shouts across the board, I think. So that's all we've got for you for this week. If you can leave us a 5-star rating, that would be highly appreciated. Follow us
Mm,
if you're not already on the podcast platforms, just to keep the numbers ticking up, and subscribe over on YouTube. Keep checking us out everywhere. So we really appreciate you listening, and hopefully you enjoyed the Premier League preview one too. We're very excited for that to come back tomorrow, and you'll be listening hopefully in the morning, and your Premier League dosage will be right into your veins on Friday night. I'm sure you're buzzing, Shane, waiting for Liverpool's first
yeah,
game. But yeah, throw it over to you to wrap up.
can't wait. Yeah, just continue. Like this is our second episode this week. It's been, geez, it didn't even feel like it a day in between the two of them recording. We were saying before we started, we just
Mhm.
love doing it. We love just before we started, we said that we enjoy talking to each other about sports, so why not do it in front of a camera and see how it goes? So just keep listening, keep liking. The likes and comments make such massive difference. So if you do that as well, we'd really appreciate it. And do leave that 5-star review. We'll talk to you next week.
Nice one, lads.